Montana Camp. We're here. Montana Camp attendees representing 9 U.S. states, if I counted correctly. I almost used both hands there, right? And entrepreneurs, welcome many of you again. Thank you very much. What an honor. What an honor. How are you? All right, hold on. Let's do it this way. Last I checked, as a percentage of agents to Market Center total, South Dakota is here representing the greatest percentage. KW Black Hills, welcome. And you're all over the place. A very, very close second, though, Bozeman. Yes. I know you had a long drive. And then we've got market centers as far as the Pacific Ocean, and we've got agents as far as Florida. Yeah. Thank you so much. What an honor. I was watching that video that I've seen for only 300 times now, and I saw the first phrase that showed up there, and it says, "A time to gather." And you know what's interesting? I was driving here across this beautiful state. Yes, Florida, we might have you beat. And I'm not alone, am I? Ladies and gentlemen, Harry Keller.
Hey, everybody. Bozeman, MontanaCamp23, what's up? You guys ready to kill it today?
Yeah.
All right.
They're convinced.
All right. We'll get them, Justin.
Thanks, Harry. So that's proof that it's not me. And we had to do that for you. Name any other conference, by the way, that has a Bigfoot/gorilla, right? And we have our own conference. This is Montana Camp. I was thinking about that. So I was driving across the state. I live in Kalispell. I'm driving across to Bozeman, the second prettiest part of the state. It's a close second. And I'm thinking about why Montana Camp. And I've asked a couple of you that. Why do we do Montana Camp? I mean, we certainly don't do it because it's easy. We certainly don't do it because it's cheap. You actually probably have to be a little psychotic to continue doing something like this. Yet, I think for many of us, the answer starts with, well, there's a lot of great training. There's a lot of great networking. There's a lot of great activity. There's even a Sasquatch. I get that. Those are all whats. Why Montana Camp is because we gather. We gather. We do as you are here. I want you to pay really close attention to everything by design over the next 72 hours, your Montana Camp experience. You're sitting at circles because we're all gathering. The reason why we call it Montana Camp, I'm going to tell you that story in a second. Ultimately, though, the reason why we call it Montana Camp is because when we camp, we gather around the fire. Because great things happen. So I was driving from Kalispell to Bozeman, and I'm hauling a trailer with thousands of pounds of equipment, so I'm not doing my usual speed of maybe Mach 1. I do drive a little fast. I really loved it when we didn't have a speed limit. That was a little better for me because it was still reasonable. So I'm driving a little slower, so that the blessing about driving a little bit slower was it gave me more time to think. And I thought, yes, this is why we do Montana Camp, because we gather. However, then I realized that was born at the origin of Montana Camp. So if 10 years ago I started my real estate career, 2013, and if somebody had said to me, Justin, in 10 years, you're going to be opening up the 3rd annual real estate conference in Montana, rapidly becoming the biggest conference in Montana, and rapidly becoming the most exciting state-based conference in the country, I'd have been like, no way. No way. I'm working on listings, pal. I'm only halfway through the MREA. It hasn't mentioned any of that stuff. and here we are. Because we as entrepreneurs, things move fast, don't they? We're going to talk a lot about that, and I really want us to contemplate what it means to be an entrepreneur. We're going to talk a lot about that, though, over the next 3 days. Things move fast. Even when they're messy, especially when they're messy, they move fast. I don't think super orderly is in the playbook for the entrepreneur. I really don't think it, because we move fast. So my real estate career did move fast. So in 2020, I had become a team leader in 2019, and in 2020, the KW office that I was a team leader in here in Montana was rapidly becoming one of the strongest producing offices in the region. It was growing quick, and we were producing very well. And then in 2020, that strange year, we had family reunion, then we had Mardi Gras, then we had COVID. Like, remember that? So that became rapidly a year of confusion. And like you, I was in the middle of it, and I was thinking, what is going on? And as a leader of a company of about 130 agents at that time, I had agents coming up and saying, what do we do? And that was a really hard question to answer because we really didn't know what to do. There was no playbook for a pandemic. And so we had to just do what we knew what to do, was double down on lead gen, stick to the proven systems and models, and keep going. And then when we kept getting hit with interruptions, such as 6-foot distance and masks, and then they have to be over your nose, and then no, they can't be this mask, there has to be this mask, and forget about flying. And then Montana did something really bold. They fired their governor, we fired their governor. We brought in a governor who then made this statement: we are a sanctuary state for business. And look what happened. People came from everywhere. In fact, I have friends sitting about that direction from the peninsula of Washington because of that statement, in a manner of speaking. And our businesses took off. Now, while that was great, it was still a land of confusion. One of the things that I bet we all forgot to do was rest. Because I don't think we had time for it, did we? Right? You with me? So, it's 2020. MegaCamp got canceled. And my agents are saying, wait, what do we do? What do we do, Justin? We need to go get fed somewhere. We need to get some connectivity. We need to get inspired. We need to network with people. I need new ideas. Because when you're living in Montana, as well as South Dakota, I imagine, as well as even Washington, I imagine, and Idaho, we're kind of far from those places, right? Austin, Texas isn't around the corner. Orlando, Florida is not around the corner. Anaheim, California, that's California. Yeah, I said it. And so it's hard. Like, you have to budget for that stuff, right? So I realized, and as a team leader for an agent body, it's our heart's desire to find access to so much power and information for you, our agents, right? Where are my team leaders? Team leaders? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your team leaders. Hey, where are my OPs? Raise your hands, please. Actually, OPs, can you stand, please? Twins. OPs, let's give them a round of applause. OPs, thank you for supporting your team leaders, and then therefore supporting your agent bodies and fueling thousands of legacies impacting the world. That's how this thing works. Yeah, that's how this works. That was Shelly Callan, by the way. Probably my most passionate MontanaCamp volunteer. Round of applause for Shelly Callan. So as a leadership body, 2020, we saw MegaCamp sort of disappear. And then Family Reunion was gone digital, or as they said, virtual. And I'm sure you share this, South Dakota. In Montana, we don't like the screens so much. We got zoomed out really fast. And this is the reason why we have God's backdrop. And we just thought, no, we're not doing this. I mean, Mike Hyde lead gens in camo. That's how outdoors that guy is. We don't want that stuff. And so when they were saying, we're going to go to family reunion, is going to be 50,000 people all on screens, and we're thinking, still not cool enough. Sorry. By this point, I said, we've got to do something about this, because I don't know when this will end. However, what I know needs to end is not connecting with others. So they said, well, what if we made a mega camp? I said, Well, if we can't go to them and we're an open state, they can come to us. And so MontanaCamp was born. And so for those of you who was with us, that was August of 2021. Who was with us that year in Helena? Yes, year one, thank you. The OGs. So MontanaCamp was born, It was born with the title Montana Mega Camp because we were very original. And even though I was ripping off Gary's playbook, like literally just taking the name Gary Keller and writing Justin Meccia, don't tell him this is recording, darn it. Oh, by the way, we're broadcasting. We were just ripping it off. We were saying, well, if they're not going to do Mega Camp in Austin, we're going to do Montana Mega Camp in Montana. And rightfully so, we wanted to start it at our state's capital, Helena. And then my marketing mind said, Justin, that's too many words. Montana Mega Camp, that's just too much. So we sandwiched it, MontanaCamp. And I didn't know, however, that was an accidental blessing. I didn't know what we had created. Because here's the other truth. It was just supposed to be a substitute for that year, which is why the banners out there say MontanaCamp 2021. Now, in the first hour of MontanaCamp that year, somebody came to me and said, this is so great, where's it going to be next year? And I thought, what? What do you mean next year? This is like a substitute teacher. The real teacher's coming back. And then I realized the real teacher hadn't announced their comeback yet, and I said, oh, I guess we're still going. And then I thought, well, it's just like real estate business. When you find the system that works, just double down on it. Well, to be honest, the first year of MontanaCamp, it worked as far as gathering people together, yes, because we were very proud of that. This guy's credit cards got maxed out to fund it. And my biggest fan, and the one that I'm most grateful for, my wife, was like, you're allowed to do that once. So after we refinanced the house, and I cleared off that debt, it's like, haha, I can do it again. Entrepreneurs are messy, right? And so she said, okay, you can do it again. And so we did. We immediately shifted, and I'm going to say all of that conversation happened that hour. That's how fast we moved it. Right away, started planning MontanaCamp 22 at MontanaCamp 21. And we decided, though, to move it off of August because that is Mega Camps month. We surveyed all of you, and May came back second most popular month, and we said we got to do May because nobody else does May. And we brought MontanaCamp 22 to May in Missoula. All right, Missoula, where are you? Let's hear it. Well, that was a little weak. Come on, Missoula, let's hear it. All right. I'm going to say this once, because I can probably only say this once. Go Grizz. Oh, I see a lot of red dots. That was a big year, right? The lineup, MontanaCamp 22. I don't know of a moment where we had that much power, that much influence in our industry on one stage in Montana. Seriously, that was a big, big year. And a very, very challenging year to top. However, this is the little camp that could. That is my unofficial slogan for this camp, because it won't stop. I'm driving over to Bozeman yesterday to here, and I'm on the phone with Mike Hyde, and we're talking, and we're gonna have a great conversation tomorrow. However, we're opening up, honestly, about things, about challenges, about getting hit in the face, about, you know what, this is the image I have as an entrepreneur, especially for an event like this. It feels a lot like a punch clown. You just keep coming back up for more. And at some point, you may think, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? And then you realize, I do it because we gather at all costs. I don't do it because it's profitable. I don't do it because it's a money maker or a lead generator. I do it because we gather. That's why we do it. So Mike Hyde encouraged me. He said, that's why we do it, Justin. We gather. And he says, at all costs. And I said, well, Mike, things keep breaking. Things kept breaking. Things kept collapsing on us. Things kept falling down, falling apart. People's schedules changed. Things changed. Systems changed. Things disappeared. And we said, doesn't matter. We're still going to gather. If we have to host this thing in the parking lot, if we have to host this thing in a field, we're going to gather. Because you know what? We did that. In a year of confusion, we gathered Montana and South Dakota. Thank you. Oh, you can applause for that. I need water. So in that year, I learned something big, though. And by that, in that year, in that season of confusion, it was a lot of confusion about how we behave in our business. There's a lot of confusion about, in the entrepreneurial world, some people being labeled essential and not essential. Fortunately, we were labeled essential. Can you imagine? Some of you may have spouses who were told they weren't essential. Now, I know in the moment, we didn't have the magnitude to really grasp that reality. However, today, do you see what that did? To be told you're not essential, and you're an entrepreneur. You're the one taking risk, calculated or not. You're running at passion, even though when you get hit like a punch clown, you're not essential. That's why we do this. Because you're essential, yes, and so are all these vendors. And you know what I love so much about Montana Camp and the things that we do as realtors? We make such a magnificent impact in our community every time we close escrow. NAR came out with a statistic that said that for every home sold in Montana, it makes a $92,000 impact in its local community. Do you think that made a difference in 2020 and in 2021? Do you think that had an impact on people's lives, especially those deemed non-essential? This was our world, friends, a world of confusion. So as a leader of an office, and a leader of a family, and a leader of a dream, I adopted something that year, that season. I started to look at leadership as a whole without color. And by that I mean not red, not blue. I looked at leadership as a whole, and I started to obtain an appreciation for leaders. And it didn't even matter if I disagreed with them. For example, when Gary Keller and KWRI said we're not going to do family reunion, we're going to go digital, I didn't like that decision, to be honest. Didn't like it. In fact, if I'm being really honest, I begrudgingly bought my ticket. I might have been the only one, because my office was not happy about that. However, I supported the leader, because to make a decision in a land of chaos and confusion, that's leadership. When Bold Pivot came out, remember that $99 digital experience? Yeah, did not like that, except for I appreciated the decision. And when Steve Schluter got on the screen and he was shouting right at me, he may as well just said, Justin, this one's for you. I want you to audit all of your expenses, and I want you to just hack away at stuff you don't need. You know what happened in that season, or that afternoon when my wife and I sat down and audited all of our expenses? We found that we were paying for Netflix twice. She signed up and I signed up. And we're like, oh my gosh, thank you, Steve. You saved me $11.99 a month, you know? I was not one of those big numbers reported. However, I appreciated that. I appreciated it. Now, $99 Bold experience, still also worth it. However, my ROI is still to be determined. My point is this. I appreciated the decision. Now, I know that you're hearing, for those who are solo agents or team agents, buyer specialists, listing agents, you might be thinking, I'm not a leader. Yes, you are. Evidenced by today. Because to be here today also meant you had to not be somewhere else. To be here today required you to say no to other things. And for some of you, that was really difficult. However, you're here today. Why? Because we gather. And why do we gather? Well, the good book says iron sharpens iron. I think I'm allowed to say that in this house. Amen. That's why we gather. Because you know what? It is my dream that we all walk out of this building in 72 hours, brighter and bigger and bolder for our worlds. That's why we gather. Yeah. Oh. I'm going to tell you a really quick story. It's 2013. I'm a rookie agent, nominated Rookie of the Year. Exciting. And I'm taking my first listing. In fact, it was my first piece of business. I took the listing. Sphere of influence, you might be asking. I love this question, by the way. Whenever we have top producer panels, one of my favorite questions is tell me your first deal. I love that. Especially when they're like, oh, I've sold 3,000 homes, and I can't even compute that high. And I'm like, tell me your first one. And they're like, oh my gosh, I sold Moses his home. And anyways, my first deal was a listing. And let me say that very carefully. My first deal was a listing. I didn't get paid for it, though. So I take this listing, sphere of influence. I opened up my phone. Somebody said, Justin, you got business in your phone. Open up your phone. So I pulled out my phone. It was not this. It was a flip phone. And I started going through my contacts. And I think I had about 120, 150 contacts. Yeah, popular guy. And I started going through, and I just started making that phone call. Hey, it's your buddy Justin. Just wanted to give you an update in my world. I'm in real estate now, and I'd love to help you or your friends make a move. Do you want to sell your home? I think it was about that. That was my script. I hadn't met Cody Gibson yet. However, he has hugged me, for those of you who were at last year's event. And I recall Cody sharing at one of those big events that the crappy script you use today is better than the one you didn't use yesterday. And you know what? I was living proof of that in 2013 because it was crappy scripts. Hi, I'm Justin. You want to sell your home? Finally, this woman answers, and she says, you know what? I'm glad you called. We were just talking about going back on the market. Fantastic. When can I come over? It's funny. She set the appointment. It was easy. You're thinking, Justin, that one fell out of the sky. Hold on. So I show up, I do my CMA, and this is back when, I thought creativity was important. I mean, it is important. However, when you read the MREA, it's what first? Foundation, then creativity. And remember the diagram on one of those pages in the MREA where if you do creativity first, the triangle's upside down and it's wobbly? Gary wrote that for me. Because film school graduate, I went to film school, got my degree in film studies and video production, and so I thought that I needed to use that in my real estate career first because I wanted to show mom that it worked. So that's why I went to school, mom. And so I built this, get this, CMA video. I did a CMA of her property. I recorded, narrated the video of all the comps, and then I brought my laptop, I should have my laptop here for laptop for display, to the listing appointment, opened it up, 2013, not 2020, not Zoom. I thought it was. I opened up my laptop and I was like, here, look, watch. Hit the space bar, and for the next 15 minutes, I'm surprised I didn't put her to sleep. I mean, cool, not effective. Because when it was done, because at the end I was like, and your price is $325. And she said, by the way, back then, $325 was like double the average sale price, so that was a good listing. She said, no, we want $475. I was like, well, what part of $325 did you not see? It was right there in the video. Do you want me to replay it? And she's like, no, we want $475. And I was like, look, we've got one digit in common, and it's not the first one. It needs to be the first one. She's like, not happening. If you aren't going to list our house at $475, you're not getting the listing. I was like, she outsold me. Fine. Because I wanted the listing. So I took the listing. I was like, great. Well, I brought my sign. She's like, no, we don't want signs. What do you mean you don't want signs? By the way, let me back up a little bit. New agent, very excited about it. Creativity before foundation. I made the coolest sign. I spent $150 on this reflective metal sign. Never used it. Never used it. It's hanging in my garage today, probably with an inch of dust. Not a scratch on it. How many of you like metal signs, by the way? Yeah, I'm a fan of them too, until they get scratched. I'm like, come on, it's like scratching your new truck. The first scratch hurts the most. So I can tell my jokes aren't working this morning, so I'm gonna hurry up. So I'm taking this listing. I have a point to this story, I promise you. I'm taking this listing, no sign. Okay, great, no problem. I'm gonna get the photos taken, and then I'd like to do an open house. No open house. What do you mean no open house? We don't want an open house. We don't want people coming through and drinking our wine and spilling it on the couch. And by the way, this was before those goddess drinks White Claw, because they don't stain, and ain't no stains, right? So it was wine, and I was like, okay, fine, no open house. Can I do a broker open where it's responsible people? Because realtors are always responsible. No. Okay. No sign, no open house. Well, let me send you this listing description so that you can approve it. I don't want my address on the MLS. What do you mean you don't want your address on? Is that even possible? So I call my broker. Is it possible? Yes, it is, Justin. It's called stupid. However, you can do it. Fine. New listing. No address. in the general area of fantastic overpriced opportunity, you're not gonna find my sign. And there's not a lockbox, I gotta show you. Please call me, I am desperate. So then June of 2013 comes, and I get coaxed into taking Bold. And I say coaxed because at this point, I'm bankrupt. Paid for my school, paid for my license, paid for a sign, and my credit card's like hurting. And then my TL is like, take Bold, take Bold. And I was like, I don't need Bold, I need this listing at 325. I was like, I'm sure you're gonna learn how to do that at Bold. I was like, okay, sign me up. So I go take Bold. And where's Helena in the house? Helena? That's where I took Bold. 2013, Bold, Helena. Thank you, KW, Capital Realty, for bringing Bold. Drove 4 hours every Monday morning, took Bold. Teresa Barnaby was the Bold instructor. This is how impactful that moment was for me. Took Bold. About the fourth week into Bold, was the listing presentation. And I'm like, this is my day. So Teresa's like talking about it, and then I get bold. I'm like, okay, hold on. I got something for you, Teresa. And I tell her that story I just shared with you. She said, what do you think she said? Fire her. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I can do that? Fire her, Justin. Okay. So I go back, call up my seller. Hey, guess what? You're fired. And I think I said it like Donald Trump. I was like, just slightly better hair. And so, thank you. And so I fired her. And she said, we'll see about that. I'll have my attorney review your termination of contract, right? And I said, fine, have your attorney. I've got no money, you're not suing me. So about a week later, she says, my attorney reviewed your termination, and yes, we'll terminate and whatever. So I checked it on the MLS, withdrawn. First piece of business, did not get paid, okay? My second piece of business was a buyer, thank God, because those are happy. I don't care if I have to drive and show them 20 houses, I was happy. So, and this was before that song. So my point in that story is this. For me, when I fired that client, it was leadership day one, because I had to say no. I had to make a hard choice. I had to make a choice I didn't want to, however, I knew I needed to. I know many of you can resonate with something in that story. You probably have that crazy seller. There's probably a lot of them right now. You probably had that seller who said no open houses, no signs. You probably have that overpriced listing and that out-of-whack seller or owner, right? You can resonate with something like that, and you get to make hard choices. Congratulations, you're an entrepreneur. This was supposed to be motivational, Justin. Okay, so a couple of things about this year's camp experience. And the point of that story was, you're a leader. A couple of things about the experience, leaders, is if you've noticed, for those, how many of you have been there, Montana Camp 1, 2, and now 3? Wow, yes, okay, cool. So what you've noticed in our growth as a camp experience is we're getting closer by design, okay? So the reason the vendors are in here is because they are entrepreneurs too. And I want you to make friends. I want you to gather because that's what we do well, Montana, and that's what's essential. Other things that you're gonna notice is this fun little cube is actually a microphone. And so some of you might get called out on the spot and the microphone get thrown at you and you get to participate. The idea behind Montana Camp is to go where those other conferences can't go, and that is right there in your chair, Stephen. How many times have you been called out from the stage at family reunion? Probably not at all, right? I know it. And the thing is those places, those things have their places, and I love them too, and you're gonna see me at all of them. However, we wanna go where we know we can go because we gather. All right, I've got 2 more things for you, and then I'm gonna wrap this thing up, and I promise they're not jokes. 2 more things for you. This first one is this. I want us to do an exercise real fast, and it's based off of what was shared with me as I was preparing to leave Kalispell, I was on the phone with Shelly, and we were talking about Montana Camp, and we were putting the last couple of pieces together, and she said, hey, did you get that email from KWRI? I said, I probably did. I haven't seen it. And she said, well, it's all about the 72-hour rule. I was like, what's the 72-hour rule? And she said, well, they found that if you're given some instruction, if someone shares with you a strategy or a tactic to improve your life or your business, and you fail to take action within 72 hours of learning that, then the chances of you implementing that are 0. And then I thought about that. Montana Camp is, just under 72 hours. So that means that everything you learn here, you have great chance of implementing so that when we meet again next year, y'all are going to be bigger and brighter. Yeah. So yeah, you can write that down. 72 hours, take action. And what you're going to find about the experience this year, the speakers are more engaged. They're going to draw you out more, okay? This is not drinking from the fire hydrant. This is being given your glass of water. So the first thing I want to do here is make the room a little bit smaller. So crew, I'd like to throw 2 minutes up on the screen if you don't mind. And this is what we're going to do. Chances are, well, don't start it yet. Pause. You're getting ahead of me. You're cutting into there too. Perfect, thank you. The first thing, or this is what, chances are you came here with somebody you already know, because that's what we do, because we gather. However, you're gonna make a friend. So we're gonna throw 2 on the screen, and I want you to find somebody you don't know yet, and I want you to take a picture of their lanyard so their name is in your phone, okay? 2 minutes on the screen. Go. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. I knew you would want more than 2 minutes. Too bad. We got a tight schedule. We got a lot of value for you. Okay. So now you have at least another friend and at least another person in your contact, and probably your referral database just grew. However, part B of that assignment comes Friday morning. Okay? So Friday morning, to be continued. Hang on to that photo, hang on to that contact, okay? By the way, on this note, this is not hot potato. If I throw it at you, Steven, you're on the spot, bud. This is not hot potato. And now the last thing that I want to share with you this morning is quite possibly the most important takeaway of this year's event at Montana Camp. The second thing...
Married a long time ago. Where did you come from?
Yeah, hello, MontanaCamp. How y'all doing? Come on now, let's get some high fives. Woo! Here we go. A little louder. Come on now.
Anybody with me now?
You guys can do it. You can stand, you can dance, you can definitely clap. Come on, stand up with me. You do it too, Nico. Woo! Welcome to MontanaCamp. Yeah! Come on, Kristen Francis, get up here. Hey, MontanaCamp, you all know Kristen Francis from Washington, D.C. Are you kidding me? Look at that teal. Who's got the tealest hair in the house? That's right, it's Kristen Francis. That was exhausting, huh?
Yeah.